Mbeki, Mrs. Mbeki, Mrs. Brigalia Bam, the chairperson of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, and all members of the board of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation and its advisory council, our ambassadors present here, and all other members of the diplomatic corps that are here with us today, and all of us who are honored guests, because indeed, by our very presence, we are honored guests. Without us, this wouldn't be a dinner. So all of us here are important, even if I may not be mentioning you by name, but you remain important. Would like to thank you tonight for having come to grace this occasion when we celebrate the birthday of President Mbeki in style. A human being who dedicated his life to the liberation of our country and our continent, and ensure that post its independence will work towards its development as well as the development of our continent and our world. We know that he knew that without working hand in hand with the peoples of Africa, South Africa can never be prosperous. But that Africa itself, without working with communities in the world, it too will never be successful. Today, our country has been celebrating Youth Day and commemorating the contributions that young people made in the liberation of our country, and that includes our birthday boy tonight. So as Thabo Mbeki Foundation, we decided that today we will celebrate this day by epitomizing the person we are celebrating and who he is and how he has always been known. A thinker, a person whose quest for knowledge makes him to inquire all the time, ask questions, because he wants to know how best can we ensure that we solve the problems that we face. A person who loves reading, who likes writing, but also who likes to dialogue and challenges you from your comfort zone. Those who happened to be close to him, working with him, know that many a times when you went to him to ask for a solution, instead of giving to you, he will probe, he will ask you questions, and as you leave his office, you will say, why didn't I think about it? An educator of note. That's who we celebrate. So as Thabo Mbeki Foundation, we thought it would be better to do so today by bringing young people and launch two books. One, The Road to Democracy, which actually talks about June 16 and the road towards democracy. The other book, known as The Building Blocks by Professor Bani Pijana, was also launched today. Very interesting, and I would encourage all of you to read it, because it's a reflection by scholars of his presidency. They did that as they celebrated his 70th birthday. They ventured to the topics that some of you might be very scared of talking about, HIV and AIDS, and what went on his mind of this individual when he grappled with that issue as the president of our country. But those scholars actually took a step aside to reflect on the work that he did, without asking him, of course, but through their own analysis and reflection, and informed by the work that he has done as he wrote, but also as he traversed our country and our continent trying to find solutions. As Thabo Mbeki Foundation, we honor this day and honor this individual because though old, he remains young at heart. And I'm sure Mam Brigela and some of those who were in the YWCA will relate to that very much, that even if you are old as a YWCA, you remain a youth. As Thabo Mbeki Foundation, we thought we would want to share with you today that as a foundation, it was our view that the work that President Mbeki started during his term as president, particularly concerned about how we can use challenges of our continent to inspire us to resolve them for the betterment of our world, both our human resources and our natural resources, and started to frame what a majority of you know, working his colleagues, New Partnership for Africa's Development. We felt this work, him still engaged with his colleagues, will be better placed if we actually locate it within the foundation and working with other institutions such as UNISA. So our first project was Timali, because in our view, thought leaders will be very critical in building the leadership that our continent and our world requires. So we've worked with UNISA, that project still continues. Secondly, we asked ourselves, how does one keep the memory, the history, not only of President Mbeki, but also of his peers, both in the liberation struggle, but also those he has worked with while he was president in office? And how do we ensure that young people will use this facility to actually undertake research and also themselves contribute through their own work that they would place in this center, which will remain a library, but also a center of knowledge? Because in our view, the story of South Africa, the story of Africa, is an evolving story. It will continue to be told. It will continue to inspire generations to come. And we thought, because you love us so much, and you love Thabo Mbeki so much, it would be a better birthday present to give if we were to make a contribution towards ensuring that we realize this vision of the foundation of building the center of a memory in the Thabo Mbeki Presidential Library. I know on days like this, as Kuzwa have said, fundraising, a lot of people relate it to money. But with us, money is not the only way in which people can contribute. There are many ways in which we can contribute. Firstly, as ambassador for this project, because I'm sure you'll agree with me that it is important to keep our history. It is important to have that center of memory and reflection. You'll agree with me that you too, in your different capacities as professionals, as corporate citizens of our country, you would like to reflect and look back at the journey we've traversed. So in your own ways, you will make sure that library becomes a living and an evolving center. So money indeed is important because it makes the world go round. But also your skills are important. Building a library, you need architects, you need quantity surveyors, you need engineers, and I'm sure there are some here. You need people in the property industries as developers who can say, we can put, the designs, we can put the brick and mortar, we have got TLBs, to do your earthworks. But some of us as young people, what does it cost to actually buy a brick? I'm sure we can have little bricks with our 300 Rand that can make a contribution to that center. so that when we look at it, we can say to our great-grandchildren, we did it for Africa. But also, some of us are librarians. Your advice will be of value to say, how can we make this library a living memory? Some of you are in IT. You can actually make sure that we can have a digital library, virtual, not only in the building blocks, but it can be everywhere where we want to have it. And I'm sure it's possible to do it. So this is why we've invited you here tonight. And would like to welcome you because we know you are our ambassadors. By the mere fact that you came, you knew why you were coming here, but you wanted to hear a little bit more. What is this thing? Hewa, that is this thing. A center for memory, to keep our knowledge, to ensure that our young people, when they want to know about this continent, its people, its resources, this is where they can go. With these few words, I'd like to say you are most welcome. And to you, President Mbeki, thank you for inspiring us with your life, your work, and the words spoken and printed. And this is the best that we think we can give you. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. Did you see that? The SABC hijacked my mic stand. Yes. And when I had to hold with my head, like that. Now, the church I used to go to, they never used to have a podium on Good Friday. So I used to have to hold the Bible for Father to read. And I'm going like, whatever happens, this pen must not slip. So at least I have out very nicely. We're going to have the 4-minute video. Should we see? You want to stop for me? We'll have a 4-minute video that is going to play for us. Thank you.
The Thabo Mbeki Presidential Library is a significant African initiative and will be the first of its kind on the continent.
The library will collect and make available to the public all available written, electronic, and other material originating from and associated with Thabo Mbeki. This will cover the period from 1955 to date, during which Thabo Mbeki has been a conscious participant in public affairs, both domestic and foreign. However, this Mbeki material will only serve as a penny in terms of the material posted by the library. This is because whatever I've done and will be reflected in the live Mbeki archives happened both within a particular context and involved other actors. The library will therefore strive also to document such contexts and the activities and views of the other actors whom I have referred. We will therefore understand the complexity of the task to build an actual, relevant, and useful library.
The library will seek to inspire, encourage, and grow a new generation of bold and independent African change agents and thinkers. It is the view of former President Mbeki that the unique and authentic content of the library is owned by all Africans, all on the continent and all in the African diaspora. The library, therefore, will be an open, engaging, and inspirational African center for debate and the generation of new ideas. The TMPL is in essence built to share, inspire, and educate. And so it has been designed to do just that. The signature Thabo Mbeki Presidential Library at North Avenue, Killarney will feed 1,000 other TMPL libraries across the country and across the continent. These 1,000 satellite libraries will be strategically placed at schools to spread former President Mbeki's core purpose to inspire a new cadre of independent thinkers able to generate new ideas and ignite fresh debate. The Thabo Mbeki Presidential Library is an iconic and bold initiative. It seeks at once to be an enabler, an educator, and a broadcaster, and invites the co-creation of all those within its embrace. Wrapped in rich historical artifactual content, it aims to activate new thought and discussion for a most important African and world audience. The Thabo Mbeki Presidential Library, a center for knowledge, peace, equality, and prosperity in Africa.
Fantastic. We're going back on our people. Oh, we've got a mic stand now. Wonderful. Thank you very much. So, we're going to do something funny, something quite interesting about our president. He said something very profound. And I'm going to ask, many years ago, I'm going to show you, I'm going to ask the questions. I'm going to ask Siri a question. Okay? I'm going to ask this computer. Siri, please give me brainy quotes by President Thabo Mbeki. Woo! And what did he say? Let's see. Oh, look at that. He said, look at that one. I think the internet is absolutely extraordinary. It's very, very useful. And I think one of the things we've got to do is make sure that the African continent gets onto that information superhighway. And now we can talk to our computers and they give us answers. They can even understand my accent. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't this man a visionary? Oh yes, he's going to be jealous. Isn't he a visionary? This was years ago, before we could start to Siri, and Siri could give us replies. I like another one. It says, South Africa was to evolve into the most pernicious example of the criminal practice of colonial and white minority domination. Pernicious. Do you know what the word pernicious means? You don't know? What did you mean? Okay. You say manual fees, you get 100,000 rand from me. Pernicious. So, you know what the word pernicious means? You know? You don't think so? You don't know? I need 1,000 rand from you, sir. Sir? Do you know what the word pernicious means? President said it. You were listening. My good sir. Do you know the meaning of pernicious? You know the word pernicious? Yes. Spell it backward. I need 1,000 rand from you. Okay, let's make it easy. Anyone of Indian descent here, man? Anybody of Indian descent? Sir, do you know the word pernicious? I'll make it discount for you. How many spend half of the word? I need 1,000 rand from you, sir. 1,000 rand from you. You know? You know what it is?
Without fail, just don't stop.
Just continue. Okay, listen. Let's make it easy. All the guys who did bundle education, raise your hand. We're going to do this. Bundle education, raise your hands. I got it. Okay, just go back to Google there. Let's see Propaganda has done it. Keep it up, keep it up. I know it's hard to keep it up now. Keep it up in songs. Google that for Prof. He got it. Can you get it? No, don't do that. Yeah, Prof. And then Professor. There's one again. Oh, what education is that? Professor, you got it. P, no, go back. Let's say PT, A-N-A. Click. Let's see. It'll tell us. Okay. Go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia. Wow. Wikipedia. Click on Wikipedia. Let's do this one. Wikipedia was born in Houston and attended the University of Fort Hare. He was one of the founding members of South African Student Organization of the Black Nationalist Movement of Steve. So do you think he did family education? Yeah. So he's right, yeah? But you know what? You see, now probably making things complicated. You're both a lawyer and a theologian at the same time. that doesn't happen. I mean, we know who the lawyers. You know what you write when the lawyers on the epitaphs? Here lies a lawyer. Now, what are we going to say with you? And you're a human rights lawyer. I guess you're going to be the first one going to heaven, isn't it? So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we're going to have our starters. And we have 4 sections there. And we're going to start the main table. Please first, number 18 and 19 tables to go first. And please serve, and then we'll let other tables go through. Please can we give them the respect, because they're much older. And we'll come back to the lovely people. Did you play some music?
I was
like to. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please have your attention? I know that some who are still having their dating and status. Ziziletu Tembaletu is a lovely poem that will be given by Ambassador Mabuza, which was first performed on the 9th of August 2000. And it's part of an anthology now about Tambo Lenyoga, poems on Owa Tambo, Olive Palmer, and the late Prime Minister, and Owa Tambo. Ambassador Lily Mabuza, the stage is yours. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my please. Please, ladies and gentlemen, lend me your ears. Please lend me your ears.
President Thabo Mbeki, Mrs. Zanele Mbeki, Mrs. Regalia Baum, Chair of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, members of the Council of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, and High Commissioners, members of the Diplomatic Corps, fellow South Africans. Mr. President, in his book, Mazisi Kunene, Zulu Poems, he has a poem that speaks of the fountain of Mpindelela. I take this to mean a place of renewal, revival, regeneration, sustenance, a new dawn, the Renaissance. To those of us who over the decades have grown alongside you, siwa sivuka nawe, however vile or violent the currents, firmly holding hands, as President Thabo Lenyoga taught us, correcting each other when one erred. You have been, are, always will be that fountain of Mpindelela. The poem is in Zulu. Zizi letu, temba letu, siqephu qephu, esiphenqula, sizingela iqiniso, lize liphume limhlophe qwa, lithigele ke qobala, okwethambo lendlovu, eyafa ndulo ndulo. Themba lethu, maphakela isizwe sonke, sidle seneliso lokudla kwengqondo ejulile, life likabuniyo, okuphuma kukhihlika enqolobaneni yenala. Yena wesimo yena onomgogodlo qotho yena Nsimbi kayigobeki ngoba yembiwe edutshwa lapho yaqala ukulolonga khona ukuba umkhonto wesizwe amasiko nemithetho kusalandelo kusadliwa ngoludala noma amankentshana nawo eyuzungeza umzikababa kodwa le ndodana yomAfrika yema ngobuqotho sisho lezinyane likamama Epinet Muerane Mfuke ngomuhulo Sirata Tudo sisho lezinyane lenkalakatha yenkokheli yabasebenzi nonkinsela kwezobuchopho ubaba uGovan Mbeki sifunga ngalezizi elingumsimbithi kaDlamini induku engakuphukiyo noma sebeyigadla ngapha nangapha beyiphica ngamaqhinga onhliziyo zimnyama behlome bengovolo ngamacebo omaqile eqhathana bemubhela ingcwaba esadla amabelo kaJama kugcine kuyibo qobo abasele beme bekhexo ngaphansi okwenkukhu inqunya umlomo ngoba phela leli thole izibuko lika Thabo Reginald uma belemade lapho lancelisisa ubisi lomusa ubisi lozwelo ubisi loxolo ubisi lenhlalandawonye kanti futhi lethole labuye lakhothwa ngamadlozi ephelele wonke amaqhawe kaKhongolo kusuka le ko John Mafukuzela Dube kudlile kodokotela Muroka kufike ko Nelson Holihlahla Madiba Mandela bemfuza ngokudla okubumba umzimba okubumba umuntu okwakha isizwe delukufa themba lethu lentsha eyadela ubushabayo yaqoma umzabalazo mholi wezintombi nezinsizwa ezadabula amazwe zisebenzela wena nami lentsha eyayiwa ivuka eqhweni ezivukuvukwini emaxhaphozini amanye amazwi ngoba yayishiswa ubuhanguhangu besinqumo esayithatha esithi isiphelo esishaqisayo singcono kunokushaqeka kwaphakade. They took a vow. A terrible end is better than terror without end. Mabambi inkunzi ngezimpondo ibasakhahlele ibhonga ihlanyiso ukuthathwa komnotho ubekwe ezandleni zonsundu ezandleni zomame ezandleni zodade yena abethe ngqo phambili engakhubekiso ukuthi akadula nenxovanxova evela emagovini ogombela kwesabo isizwe sona sibe silambile. Ponde lihlaba umkhosi phezulu esiqongweni sokhahlamba izizwe zonke zilizile nxa lithi ngeke uMzansi Afrika ube isiqhinga somnotho sona simi sodwana kepha ngapha nangapha besizungezwa ulwandle lwehla lwenyuka ulwandle lugubha magagasi kodwa ulwandle likhihliza ubumpofu bodwa vo mlomo ngathethi manga mlomo khipha amazane ezimpiko ezisithwala zisithuthe zisitshinge ngapha nangapha ya sindize size siubone umbona wakusasa wale Afrikentsha iphaphama ebuthongweni bezinkulungwane nezinkulungwane zeminyaka isivusa izivuselela ithintitha ubudenga nobumpofu ivuke emaqandeni ngoba phela nanka amaqhude encintisana emanxiweni ethi kikilikiki ebika intathakusa esibiza sonke ethi Africa sekunjalo. Lalelani bo onezindlebe zokuzwa makezwe ezwisise onamehlo okubona akabonisise ngoba babeshila abadala ndulo bethi isinamuva liyabukwa. Niyababona na bemi ngezinyawo oCharlotte Maxeke, oLillian Ngoyi, oAida Mtho, oRohina Musa, oFrancis Bard, oViola Hashe, oDorothy Nyembe, oFlorence Maposho, oRuth First, noDalcy Sethep, oHelen Joseph. Bathi halala Mzansi Africa halala. Ngazwi linye bathi wothi wabonani wemfazo ngazalanga, wothi wabonani wendoda engazalanga. Ha, ndodana yeAfrika iphelele. Wena onamehlo akhaliphile akubonisa imbongodo itshe elibushelelezi ngokugaya ligayisisa akubonisa imbewu enhle ethembisayo ngesineke somlimi olima ebusika nasehlobo uthi caphu ubusiyithi saka emasimini sivuke seqhume ongqongqoshe namasekela esimame qhimqheshe qhimkhowe nampa umphathiswa abasakhela ubuhlobo emazweni sivuke sibone sekuqhakaze osomlomo besifazane izwe seliholwa ondunankulu abavunula ngesidwaba nesicholo isizwe sivune igolide imfundo nempilo namanzi anganamagciwane sivune zonke izithelo nezimfanelo zenkululeko eziniselwe izithukuthuku zomame ngoba esakho isifundo ngane yakwethu zizi lethu themba lethu sithi shaya lapho thoko I do my tamaya kolo yabasadi I do my tamaya kolo yabasadi I do my tamaya kolo yabasadi
are you? Julisi, I need you to swap for me. While Julisi is there, swapping for me, going back to my Bantu education with pernicious. The word, have you not Googled the word pernicious to see what the president did? Did you Google it? Okay. The word pernicious. South Africa was to evolve into the most pernicious example of the criminal practice of colonial and white minority domination. So, we will finish with the guys who did Bantu education. Hands up, please. Hands up again, please. Oh, come on. Everybody did Bantu education. Hands up. Okay. Now there's a way to find out. It's going to get worse. We know who raised his hand. We know who raised their hand. I'm begging. Favorite First Lady, you did raise your hand. I did see you. You were? We're coming to the royal readers. Okay, let's go to the outcomes-based education. Outcomes-based education. Hands up, please. Outcomes-based education. Outcomes? Stand up, please, stand up. Stand up, let's see you, let's see you. Why are you so shy? Eh? Because it's bad. Okay, I need 1,000 rand from you and I need 1,000 rand from you too. So we'll just secure ourselves 2,000, 1,000 rand. But that's one thing I want us to do. I want us, ladies and gentlemen, pernicious. I want us to celebrate this. I want us to exercise Bantu education today. Today we're ending the excuse for saying I don't know things like pernicious because I did Bantu education. Makayisa, will you tell the House what the word pernicious means?
Okay, well, it means to hurt someone in a way that cannot be seen by other people.
Woo! Did you hear that? It means to hurt people in a way that, in such a way that cannot be seen by other people. So I walk around there, being injured, mentally handicapped, done, finished. Today, President Thabo Mbeki's birthday is the end of decolonization. So it's the beginning, it's the beginning of decolonization. It's the end, you can't complain about it after today. So we're gonna exercise it like the minister exercises demon. Ladies and gentlemen, can I get a witness, please? Can I get a witness? Exercise the demon of decolonization. So we know and understand the word pernicious. So when next time somebody says something, we know the deep meaning of what he said. Today is the end of Bantu education. Everybody get up, please. Everybody stand up. Stand up and look at the door. Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. And say after me. Say after me, ladies and gentlemen. Please say after me. Say after me. Ambassador. Please stand up, Ambassador. Okay, no, Ambassador. For 1,000 rand, you can keep your seat. For 1,000 rand, keep your seat. Now look at the door. Ladies and gentlemen, look at the door and say after me. And say, Bantu education. Bantu education. Bantu education. Get out. Get out, Bantu education. Ladies and gentlemen, now that we've decolonized our minds, every one of us here must pay 1,000 rand to this effort. We're doing it ourselves. A round of applause. A round of applause to yourselves. A round of applause to yourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. You can take your seat again. Now, we are going to have a bank account. We're going to put up the bank details in our last time I this. And this is serious. You don't have to have 1,000 rand today. You can pay it in 6 months, you can pay it in installment just like shoes or a cover. How much is a cover? But I'm serious, it doesn't have to come from you. You can raise it from other people. This is a very important effort. This is like building a pyramid. Can you see that? Please go back to Google and type in there, who built the pyramids? We're building something that 400 years from now, people will look at and say there was a turnaround. This was a turning point in our history. Just like when Gutenberg invented the printing press, it was a turning point for the Germans. Who built the pyramids? Look at that, not slaves. That's what archaeologist Mark Lehner said. So everybody says the pyramids were built by slaves. No, it was built by very important people like you. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I beg of you to put money, 1,000 rand into this effort. All of you. And we will have something like 350,000 before we finish. Can I see it? Please Google for me there. So here's the big question. Why now? I mean, this is it's not really, it's the first library of its kind in Africa. We already have one in Nigeria as Africans. Why now? Why do we have, after so many presidents, please type in there, or maybe let's ask Siri. Let me come and ask Siri. Let me talk to Siri. Siri understands me. I got the permission from President Thabo Mbeki. Now listen. Siri, how many presidents has South Africa had? Siri, how many presidents has South Africa had? Siri, I know. Siri. Siri, I know I'm going to answer it. How many presidents has South Africa had?
Okay, I found this on the web for how many presidents has South Africa had.
See, I make it complicated and still understandable. So let's click there. Oh, Mr. President, you have a very long list of alma mater, eh? Look at that. Look at that. Please get seated, guys. It's going to get expensive. Look at that. Look at that. Eh? Now, President Nelson Mandela. You know, President Nelson Mandela has got the Center for Memory. And we've got President Thabo Mbeki. And ladies and gentlemen, do you realize what date he took office? The 16th of June. And what is the day today, ladies and gentlemen? A round of applause, please. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. Can I get another round of applause, please? Another 1,000 rand, if you don't mind. Another 1,000 rand would be good. So, Kaisele, you see Thabo Mbeki, right? Can you Google for me? Oh, I'll ask Siri. No, Siri won't know who Kadima is. Type there, Brain Codes by Thabo Mbeki. I don't care what you think. You give me the microphone. It's your problem. Click there, Brain Codes. How many? 4. Let me read them. So we can't start a library with so little, guys. I'm sorry. But we have to be honest here. So I'm going to read a few of them. I don't want to lead an organization where I have no sense of what the members think of me. And by arrangement, I would never do that. That's Aristotle stuff. If there are activists in COSAS, this is my favorite. I know exactly what I will do. I will go and work with the Congress of South African Students. Guys, I'm sorry. We're going to start a library, we're serious then. I'm not going to go after that with what happened. You know how many other people have spoken. But what I'm going to talk about is are the mains ready? We've got the mains ready? Let's go have the mains. And I'll touch when we come back. Lovely. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the mains are ready, and these tables will be served. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please have your attention? There it is. This beautiful cake that came from President Thabo Mbeki on behalf, coming from the pledges. Let's all stand up, ladies and gentlemen, and bring our African voices, which we get just because we're on the African continent as well. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to sing happy birthday to you in the most amazing style. You gonna sing? Oh yes, you're going to come with me and we're going to sing happy birthday. Come. We're going to sing for our President Thabo Mbeki. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start. Let's sing. Okay, we're all singing together. 1, 2, 3. The ladies, please start the song for us.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear President. Happy birthday to you.
Let's go again.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear President. Happy birthday to you.
Close up and close up. And then, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Please take your seats. We've got a deal. We've got a deal for you. Yip, yip. Yip, yip. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a deal for you. I mean, like all deals, President Trump has shown us it comes and goes. We've got a deal for you, a really great deal for you. The president is going to go from table to table taking pictures with you as a group. And we'll do it in an orderly manner like we always do, of course. While he's writing, and there's a pledge book. There's a pledge book that's going to move around as well, from table to table, and please pledge something. But ladies and gentlemen, can I have some attention, please? This is the pledge book. Yeah. This is the pledge book, and then there's a birthday message book that's going to come around as well. And just sign and leave your message to President Mbeki. And guess what? That's going to be in the presidential library. So 400 years from now, people will see your name and read about you. You can't leave that opportunity. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I am serious about this. 1,000 rand from all of us. It's a lot of money. I know it is a lot of money. You can get friends to raise it. Kids, there's the African Union from Wits University. Have plays, have shows, have something that's amazing, and bring the money for the library. This is something big, as I said, we're building something bigger than the library, than the pyramids. This is big. This is a turning point for Africa, and you can't walk away from that. Now, one thing is that, Africans, just our problem, I think, is we're so scared of the truth. It makes us so uncomfortable. So people say, please don't say what you just said again about so and so. So I won't do it again. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call the president again and use one word. Mr. President, I recall you to come up here and give us our dignity back. And we are proud of you, and we love you, and Africa is much better for you. Thanks.
No, let's sit down, please. When I was told about this evening, it was said that we've come here to eat. And then it was said that we've come here to talk about this presidential library. No mention was made of birthdays. So this is an item that's been smuggled in, I don't know by whom. But let me say thank you very much indeed for everything that's been said. The birthday is on Monday. So my wife had decided to invite all of you to a birthday celebration on Monday. Are you coming? You are coming? No, but because of what happened tonight, we have cancelled. But I think the celebration, that really birthday celebration we should have, is of the library. I think that's a much more important birthday celebration. Because it's the nature of the project. The ambassador of Cuba is with us here. I'm going to tell you a story about the late Fidel Castro. 1987, we visited Havana, a delegation led by the late Oliver Tambo. Now, something like 3 times before we left Lusaka to go to Havana, Oliver Tambo gets a message from Fidel, which says, be prepared to discuss the Freedom Charter. So we say, okay. Fidel is interested that we should educate him about the Freedom Charter, which is fine. Then second message comes, be prepared to discuss the Freedom Charter. But we told the ambassador to tell Fidel that we agreed. Second message comes. The third one comes from Fidel. Be prepared to discuss the Freedom Charter. What's wrong with this, Fidel? So anyway, off we go to Havana. And we meet with Fidel and his delegation. And he indeed raises this question about the Freedom Charter. And so he says, you know, Brother Tambo, in the Freedom Charter, you talk about nationalizing the mines, the banks, and all of these things. So OR says, yes, indeed, that's policy. That's our policy. So Fidel says, now tell me something, Brother Tambo. You talk about nationalizing the mines. How many mining engineers does the ANC have? So OR turns to the rest of us. We all look at one another. In the end, we say, so OR says, Fidel, to tell you the truth, none. So Fidel says, and you want to take over the mines? Not even one engineer to run them. How are you going to run them? So, I mean, there's silence on our side. And then he says, what you will then want to do is to ask the very same owners of the mines. You've nationalized their mines. Then you turn around to them to say, please run the mines for me. Brother Thabo, does that make sense? So, no, Fidel, it doesn't. So he says, the ram Bacardi ram, which comes from Bermuda, is what is called in Cuba, Havana Club. That's a real Bacardi. Because he explains, he says, you see, the rum that you buy in the bottle is a mixture of young rum that's just been produced and old rum that's matured in the vats for 15, 20 years. You mix those two, and that's a rum. When you buy a bottle of Havana Club, that's a rum you get. Bacardi was a family, Cuban family. And they registered the names because they were producing rum. We took over. They ran away to Bermuda and registered the name Bacardi in Bermuda. But they couldn't take the vats where the rum has been matured. What they were selling was young rum. But we couldn't, because they'd taken the name with the real Bacardi we had to call Havana Club. So he says, Brother Thabo, we were young revolutionaries. And that taught us a lesson. We immediately sent a delegation to Spain to register in Cuba all of the cigar names. Because all of these cigars, Romeo and Juliet, Coibas, and whatever, these were family firms. And so, having learned a lesson about Bacardi, we decided if they want to run away, these families, let them indeed be run away, but they leave the names in Cuba. So, now you see, Brother Thabo, what I'm trying to say to you, you can't say you have no mining engineers and yet to want to nationalize mines. What I advise you to do, of course, take power and then work for 15 years to build capacity to run the mines. So that was the discussion Fidel wanted about the Freedom Charter. So now I'm telling you this story. It's a true story. I was in this delegation, and I was the scribe of this delegation. So I write down this account. I think the only places you will find an account of that meeting is in Havana and at this library. Nowhere else. And it's an important story. I think all of us as South Africans, including the ambassadors, I'm sure we've been listening to the story about what is called radical economic transformation. I'm doing my best to understand what is meant by that. Radical economic transformation. And I think in that context, what Fidel says would teach us something. When you want to take radical economic decisions, what it is that you need to do in order to make sure that you succeed. And we want to make sure that this information is in this library, because this is a story of 1987, but it's very, very fresh and relevant for today. So these ones who are saying we want all of this change, let's expose them to this history, this knowledge, because I think it teaches us something. Let me tell you another story. You remember Oliver Tambo fell sick in 1989. In the end, he had to go to England and then Sweden and so on to recover the stroke, to recover. We went with Nelson Mandela to see him in London, Oliver Tambo. And so we go to his house, Oliver Tambo's house, and we find Julius Nyerere there. We didn't know Julius Nyerere was visiting, but there he was, in the house. So of course we're very happy to see Mwalimu and all that. And then NCOR and then Nyerere was very, very clever, very skilled. I would say to the ambassadors, he's a very good diplomat, but a very straight person. So he says, now we're all just chatting. Now, Nelson, I see you have postponed the negotiations. This was after these killings in Spokane, when we said we can no longer continue negotiating until this problem of these matters is solved. So Nyerere says, now Nelson, I see you have decided to postpone the negotiations. So Madiba, of course, says, yes, indeed, we had to do that. So Mwalimu says, no, but Nelson, did you really have to do that? Yes, of course, we had to do it. So he says, Nyerere, you know, I think you are making a mistake. And the mistake you are making, I think, is that you want the apartheid regime to change in its nature. So we're all sitting and listening to this argument. It says they are killing your people because that's the nature of the regime. How come you expect that it will stop killing your people? Yeah, well, Malim, yes, we hear that. And therefore, when you say they are killing our people, as though you didn't expect them to do that, and let's postpone, you are saying they must continue in power for longer. It doesn't make sense, Nancy, does it? So now, see, we are getting embarrassed. So he says the quickest way to end the killing of your people is to go back to the negotiations, make them very short, to get rid of that regime. That will stop the killing. So I see Madiba is getting a bit agitated. He actually doesn't have an argument against. But we're embarrassed. So anyway, Mwalimu says, no, it's okay, no, it's all right, let's not discuss it, it's just my view. But he can see that we have understood. So we came back. So in the end, this matter is discussed in the ANC. So we then present this report. This is what Julius Nyerere thinks. This is what he said. So everybody says, you know, he was right. But how are we going to present this to the population? We can't say we were wrong. So what are we going to say? So some very bright person on the National Executive Committee of the ANC said, let's call it, we go back to the negotiations, but let's call it a strategic shift. And that was it. That was the decision. So you'll see in the history record, the ANC made a strategic shift. All it was to hide the embarrassment. Now, I'm sure not many people know that story here, which is an important part of understanding what happened in the process of negotiations to produce the South Africa we have. Including, if I may mention one other thing. When basically 1989, we said it's clear that there will be negotiations in South Africa. And let's prepare for it and prepare the rest of the world for it. So we sat in Lusaka and prepared a document which we had to market to everybody. And the first country we went to was Tanzania. And met Nyerere. He was still president of Tanzania at the time. And that document said there should be a process of negotiations which must agree that there must be an elected assembly which will draw up a new constitution. Very democratic. So we sit with Mwalimu and he says, he looks at this draft and he says, you know, Oliver, here is reality. And the Boers have not defeated you. You know, the Tanzanians in Kiswahili, they call these white South Africans Kaburu. It's like the Kaburus, the Boers. He says the Kaburu have not defeated you. Agreed? Yes, of course we agree. But Oliver, you have not defeated them either. Okay. And now, so he says, and now you want to win on paper what you have not won on the battlefield. Because now when you say there shall be negotiations, there shall be elected and a body to draft the constitution, you know very well that you will win the elections, the ANC, and you just draft the constitution. Your opponents can never defeat you. They will be a minority. Why do you think they will agree to that? Okay. No, we see your point, Walim. So what do you suggest? So he says, you know what I suggest you do? Keep this thing. There must be negotiations. There must be elected a body to negotiate a new constitution. But before that, there must be negotiations between us and the regime on the principles that will inform that constitution. You will then elect that body, which will draft a constitution on the basis of these negotiated principles. That's a way to solve this problem. So we changed the document to include that. And that's what actually happened here. And the first thing that CODESA did was to agree on a set of principles. The interim constitution and the current constitution were all negotiated on the basis of those principles. That was Julius Nyerere trying to help us to solve a problem here. Now I'm saying again, all of the notes and reports about all of this. I've got them, and they are going to be in this presidential library. The point I'm making, the point I'm making in the end is that this presidential library is very important, even for helping to design the future of this country. Because that history is not dead history. It's very relevant to what it is that needs to be done. And I think Togo did talk about all of this. You got people like Alec Erwin. I think the South Africans will remember Alec Erwin. When Alec, still teaching at university, was very much present in the regeneration, rebuilding of the trade union movement here, from the late 60s to the 70s. Alex stayed with that work until he came into government for a very long period. And Alec, therefore, has got an enormous amount of documentation about the rebuilding of the trade union movement in South Africa, from the 60s up to the 90s. It's probably the best record in the country about the rebuilding of the trade union movement. And Alec has said, can you please come and collect these documents and bring them to the library? So there are many people of this kind. So this is what we're trying to do, to build this library so that it becomes a resource. It's not a celebration of persons, but it's a resource which we must use both to understand our past and therefore to understand what it is that we must not repeat, and to understand what it is that we must learn from that past in order to build the new. So that is the idea. That's why I was saying it's better for us today to say happy birthday to the library, because that library is much, much more important than any Thabo Mbeki. But thanks for coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a lovely speech. There's one thing about President Thabo Mbeki. He always talks about the people first. You know what they say? You know when twins are born in African culture, who's the older one? The one who was born last, right? And why do they say that? Because he allows the other one to walk first. To say, you move first. So, forever. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask Siri something. Siri is good. No sleeping. Siri, how do you say? Oh, sorry. Siri, how do you say thank you in Zulu? Siri. Sorry. Siri, how do you say thank you in Zulu? Siri, how do you say thank you in Zulu? Siri, how do you say thank you in Zulu?
I can't translate it to Zulu yet, but I can translate it to French.
Can you? It's open. Can you type there? Type there. Go to Google. Type there. How do I say thank you in Xhosa? Enkosi. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call on Tembe to come and say Enkosi.
Honorable President, distinguished ambassadors and distinguished guests, everyone here tonight, good evening. A very short thank you from all of us who have worked on this evening. First of all, I want to say thank you to the patron, President Mbeki, for the support and the encouragement that you gave us when we were working on this event and broadly allowing us to be able to use your name when we talk about African Renaissance. Thank you very much. We also want to thank Mrs. Mbeki for your support, your encouragement. She'll come in the evenings when we're working and says, I just want to tell you that I am with you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Mbeki. We loved those chats. Thank you so much. We also want to pay salute to our board members under the leadership of Dr. Bam, the board of the the Thabo Mbeki Foundation. Thank you very much for your support and encouragement. This would not have been possible without your support. This day we celebrated the youth and reflected on challenges and the road that was traversed by the youth up until now. This morning it was very inspiring. The youth were challenging. They were also pledging their support to the patron on the movement of the Pan-Africanism. And it was quite interesting to see young people talking about those concepts. And we felt very strongly that the challenges they've posed on us, especially about the fact that our books are not accessible to them, business people that are here around us, you've got to assist us to make sure that those books are accessible to those young people. We wish to pay tribute to Phumelele. These venues were donated to us as the foundation by Phumelele to use on an annual basis for these races and the programs that we want to do. And we want to pay tribute to Clyde, who leads Phumelele, Cherise, Kanya, and the entire team of Phumelele. Thank you very much. We worked very closely together, and it's not going to be the end. We're going to continue next year. We're coming back here. We're coming back here, and we hope that the 8 races that we had tonight, all of us are going to support those races. They were stunning, they were inspiring, and it's an interesting thing, something that I had not known about. The tables that we are sitting on today, beautifully decorated by the Butongo family. I have to say this commercial. If you don't use them, it's up to you. You are going to be the losers. I really needed to say that part. Our VIP guests, the tables were paid. We paid, 25 tables were paid by our guests, those tables that we seated on. And it's really because they support the dream, the vision of the foundation. They support the vision of the Thabo Mbeki Presidential Library. That's why they paid to come here tonight. They paid to be with us. Thank you very much for your support. It's not for the last time. It's not for the last time. We call on you to support us again. We're going to write to you in persons to make sure that personalized letters to each and every company, because we want you to continue to be our partners and our ambassadors and our pleasures in the journey towards the Thabo Mbeki Presidential Library. Our major sponsors tonight, I have to mention by name. Our most reliable sponsor, Wiphold, they've always been with us. They bought race number 3. I must say the race was 500,000, so they bought that race. Our newest sponsor, they have to stand up. Richard from representing Talis. They also bought a race. And thank you very much, and they've pledged just more than the race. Thank you very much for what you have done for us. Anglo-American has pledged their support for SADET, and we want to thank them. Henley Business School, when I went downstairs with the dean of the university, he said, I'm gonna make sure that the dialogues that, that you're doing, that will also be done at the Presidential Library. We can start them today because we have premises to do so. Thank you very much, team. Thank you, we appreciate it. Old Mutual also has supported us. We want to thank them. And finally, I also want to say this would not have been possible without the support of our Thabo Mbeki Foundation partners. These are not just the employees, they are partners that already have dedicated their time to come and support us on each and everything that we do. So the Thabo Mbeki staff, our partners, thank you very much. I also want to include Phumelele staff. I think by now you qualify to be Thabo Mbeki partners because you've done so much. Including you at the back, the food we've ate, thank you very much. I also want to thank and say and introduce a new part. We have formed a dynamic relationship with Ignitive, led by Muzi Kuzwayo and Phumi Mashiko. They have pledged to assist us in this journey and make sure that the fundraising efforts, they become a reality. And what will prove that reality? It will be the building of the Thabo Mbeki Presidential Library. They have taken that responsibility that they make sure that we do that work. Where are we now? I think it's important to say this. The building, the land has been secured. The foundation has secured the land. UNISA has pledged already that they are going to assist us. They've started collating material for the library. People that were here this morning, they saw the mock-ups and the artifacts. That's part and parcel of work that's done by UNISA. So UNISA is already in the process, and they've supported us with staff, with personnel, and with resources, and we appreciate that. And we also want to say now, the ball is in your courts. It's a challenge to take the responsibility and make sure that what is going to be built is not only for few individuals that I mentioned tonight, but it's a dream for all the South Africans. It's something that each and every one of you can participate. Our Honorable Thabo Didiza, the earlier on said, you can join us, even if it means you buy a brick. You would have contributed to this library. But most importantly, as you buy one brick, just consider that next year we want to turn the sword. We also want to do and make sure that we conclude this building as quickly as possible. So one brick must lead to many more bricks so that this can become a reality. Thank you to everybody here. The dance floor is going to be opened so that people can continue to dance. So it's not the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, dessert will be served soon. All we need is 400 million rand. That's all. We can just get that like that. But we've divided it nicely. We want the first 5 million. So 10 people donating 500,000 rand each, we're in. And we're a serious. So please, ladies and gentlemen, those fines that you got, those fines, and you know yourself. We're talking honestly. You remember the fine, the 1,000 rand fine that I threw at you and that kind of thing? Please, ladies and gentlemen, it has to be paid. You're getting an installment, 6 months to pay. That's how we buy, or you can lay by, or whatever you do. And they are the bank details. So, ladies and gentlemen, and they are in the booklets that you've been given. I have been asked, with the greatest of humility, because the president and everybody has to leave as well after the party. So, no selfies. We'll take a picture and then please just respect the protocol. It makes it easy for everybody. Remember, you're not allowed to use your phone, right? But now, you are allowed to use your phone to take a picture of the bank account. Please take a picture of the bank account and know it and keep it, and as and when, and let's build this dream. I mean, we defeated apartheid. We can't fail to build a library. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. DJ, please do your thing. Thank you. You've been a fantastic audience. Thank you very much.
Live no Thabo ngo-20 half past 9.